Imagine a world without money, without trade, without the concepts that drive entire economies. What would our societies look like? And what if I told you that the biggest economic crises in history could have been avoided had we listened to the brilliant minds of the past? Today, we're diving into the revolutionary ideas of the economists who changed the world. Adam Smith, Alfred Marshall, and many others. Their theories not only shape the foundations of economics, but continue to influence the way we live, work, and think about the future. Stay tuned. This journey through the minds that reshaped our world is about to begin. In the history of economics, certain figures have shaped the way we understand money, markets, and power. But why is this important? Economic theories not only explain the past, but also give us tools to tackle the challenges we face today. Today, we dive into the minds of some of the world's most influential economists, names like Adam Smith, Alfred Marshall, and Karl Marx, who transformed economic thought and still impact global markets. But are their ideas still relevant today? Let's find out. Economics is the study of how societies allocate scarce resources. Theories shaped by thinkers over centuries provide the foundation for modern policies. In this video, we explore how economic theories guided historical events and continue to inform discussions on global inequality, free markets, government intervention, and more. These ideas, though centuries old, are more relevant today than ever. Let's uncover the enduring influence of these economists and how their insights still resonate in today's crises. Adam Smith often still relevant. The Great Depression of the 1930s gave rise to one of the most influential economic theories, Keynesian economics. John Maynard Keynes challenged classical economics by arguing that in times of economic downturns, government intervention is necessary to stimulate demand. So how do Keynesian policies hold up in a world recovering from the global financial crisis? And where are they applied today? Keynes believed that private sector demand often falls short during recessions, leading to unemployment and underutilized resources. He advocated for government spending to boost demand and jumpstart economic recovery. This theory led to widespread adoption of fiscal stimulus policies, especially in the post-World War II era. In the aftermath of the 2008 financial crisis, many countries turned to Keynesian policies, implementing massive bailouts and stimulus packages to prevent further economic collapse. However, critics argue that excessive government intervention leads to debt and inflation. As we face new challenges like the COVID-19 pandemic and the looming threat of a recession, the debate around Keynesian economics has resurfaced. Is government intervention still the answer to economic crises? Friedrich Hayek, a prominent figure in the Austrian School of Economics, argued that government intervention distorts the market's natural order. He believed in the importance of individual freedom and market mechanisms over central planning. But in a world where economic crises seem inevitable, do Hayek's ideas hold up, or do we need more regulation? Hayek's key argument was that central planning, or government intervention in the economy, leads to inefficiency and a loss of individual freedoms. He criticized socialism, fearing it would lead to totalitarian regimes. In modern times, his ideas continue to shape debates on economic freedom. In countries like the US, where free market capitalism has been dominant, Hayek's vision holds sway. Yet after the 2008 financial crisis, many questioned the idea of completely free markets. Is it possible to have true freedom in the markets without regulation? Or do we need safeguards to prevent the economic crashes that disrupt millions of lives? Karl Marx's theories on capitalism and class struggle have resonated throughout history, from revolutions to political movements. But with the rise of capitalist prosperity in many nations, does Marx's critique of the system hold any relevance in the modern world? And what do his predictions about the collapse of capitalism mean in today's globalized, market-driven society? Marx believed that capitalism is inherently exploitative, with the bourgeoisie, the capitalist class, exploiting the proletariat, the working class. He argued that the concentration of wealth in the hands of a few would eventually lead to economic collapse and revolution. Although Marx's predictions of a working-class revolution have not materialized, the rise of income inequality and corporate power seems to echo his warnings. In today's world, we see increasing wealth concentration in the hands of a few global corporations and billionaires. Marx's critique of capitalism's unsustainable growth has never seemed more relevant as debates around inequality and social justice take center stage. Could Marx's analysis help us address the challenges of today's capitalist systems? Milton Friedman and his monetarist theories challenged Keynesian economics by arguing that controlling the money supply was the key to managing inflation and economic stability. But in an era of endless monetary expansion and record low interest rates, is Friedman's vision still applicable? Or have central banks gone too far? Friedman's monetarism focuses on controlling the supply of money in an economy to manage inflation. He believed that government intervention in the economy, especially in fiscal policy, only exacerbated inflation and economic instability. Instead, Friedman advocated for a stable, predictable money supply and minimal government involvement. In today's world, where central banks have been engaging in unprecedented measures like quantitative easing, the questions surrounding monetarism grow. Have we over-relied on central banks to stimulate the economy? And can they control inflation in a world of growing debt? Traditional economics assumes that individuals act rationally, but behavioral economists like Daniel Kahneman have shown that people are often irrational and influenced by biases. In today's world of marketing, consumer behavior, and financial markets, how can we use behavioral economics to better understand decision-making? Kahneman's work on prospect theory and behavioral biases has changed the way we understand decision-making. People often make irrational choices, like overvaluing immediate rewards over long-term benefits. This has wide-reaching implications, from consumer purchasing decisions to financial market crashes. In the age of social media and digital marketing, companies use behavioral psychology to influence our buying choices. Understanding these biases helps us not only as consumers, but also in the way we view economic policy. How can we create more informed and rational economic policies when the behavior of individuals is so unpredictable? Central banks are the lifeblood of modern economies, with their ability to control interest rates, manage inflation, and stabilize financial systems. But with the massive expansion of money supply in recent years, are central banks doing more harm than good? Are they exacerbating financial inequality? Central banks play a crucial role in managing the economy, using tools like interest rates and open market operations to stabilize inflation and encourage growth. However, some argue that their policies, particularly in the aftermath of the 2008 financial crisis and during the COVID-19 pandemic, have disproportionately benefited the wealthy. Quantitative easing, for example, has flooded the financial system with money, increasing asset prices and making the rich even richer. Can central banks achieve the delicate balance of stimulating economic growth while addressing growing inequality? To understand the present, we must first understand the past. Economic history provides valuable lessons on how economic theories have shaped policy and society. From the Great Depression to the financial crises of the 21st century, history has shown that economic systems are deeply interconnected with social, political, and cultural factors. Let's reflect on the importance of studying economic history in order to better navigate the future. Economic history allows us to learn from past mistakes and successes, helping us make better decisions in the present. By studying previous economic downturns, policy responses, and societal shifts, we can recognize patterns that may inform future crises. History also shows us that economics is not just about numbers, but is intimately connected to the human experience. Our values, institutions, and political systems all play a role in shaping economic outcomes. Understanding this history helps us avoid repeating the errors of the past and build more resilient economic systems for the future. Karl Marx, the 19th century philosopher and economist, revolutionized the way we view capitalism. His theory of class struggle, the labor theory of value, and the inevitability of economic crises have shaped modern socialist thought. Marx argued that capitalism was inherently exploitative, with the bourgeoisie, the ruling capitalist class, extracting surplus value from the proletariat, the working class. But how do Marx's predictions fit in today's world of growing inequality and capital concentration? Marx's analysis of capitalism suggested that, as the rich become richer, the working class would become more impoverished, leading to eventual rebellion. This was seen in events like the Russian Revolution of 1917. Fast forward to today, and we see vast income inequality in places like the US, where the top 1% hold a disproportionate amount of wealth. The critique of capitalism's tendency to concentrate wealth in the hands of a few seems eerily prescient. But do Marx's ideas still hold in a world where global capitalism seems more entrenched than ever? Can his critiques be reconciled with a modern capitalist economy that has lifted millions out of poverty? Milton Friedman, a leading figure in the Chicago School of Economics, was an ardent defender of free markets. His belief in minimal government intervention, low taxes, and the importance of controlling inflation shaped economic policy worldwide. But in the wake of the 2008 financial crisis, Friedman's ideas have been questioned. Was his dream of the self-regulating market a mirage, or do his ideas still have relevance in solving today's economic challenges? Friedman argued that economic freedom was essential for political freedom, suggesting that government intervention distorts markets and limits individual freedom. His policies were adopted by many governments, from the Reagan administration in the US to the Thatcher government in the UK. However, the 2008 financial crisis demonstrated the dangers of an unfettered financial system. Bank bailouts, corporate greed, and the collapse of financial institutions seemed to contradict Friedman's vision of a self-regulating market. Yet some argue that it was not the market at fault, but rather the lack of proper regulation. What can we learn from Friedman in today's volatile economy? Is the free market still the best solution, or should we reconsider government's role in regulation? Joseph Schumpeter introduced the concept of creative destruction, where old industries are constantly replaced by new ones through innovation. This idea helped explain the dynamism of capitalism, where new technologies and companies emerge while older ones perish. But is today's economy truly undergoing creative destruction, or are we seeing the rise of monopolies that prevent true innovation? Schumpeter's theory is based on the idea that innovation disrupts industries and in turn benefits society by creating new markets and jobs. Think about how smartphones wiped out the once dominant landline industry. However, in today's economy, we're seeing tech giants like Apple, Google, and Amazon dominating their respective markets, leaving little room for new competitors. Is the spirit of creative destruction still alive when companies with immense power are able to squash competition through monopolistic behavior? In the 21st century, Thomas Piketty's book, Capital in the 21st Century, reignited debates on wealth inequality. Piketty argued that when the rate of return on capital exceeds economic growth, inequality inevitably rises. He proposed a global tax on wealth to address this issue. So what does Piketty's argument mean in today's world, where wealth inequality is at its highest level in over a century? Piketty's central thesis was that the capitalist system is inherently unequal. In the past few decades, the gap between the rich and the poor has widened significantly. In the U.S., the top 1% of earners have seen their wealth grow exponentially, while wages for middle-class workers have stagnated. Piketty's proposal for a progressive wealth tax was seen as radical by some, but is gaining traction as a potential solution to this growing inequality. As global wealth continues to concentrate, Piketty's insights are becoming more relevant. Yet questions about the feasibility of such policies remain. Can a wealth tax truly reduce inequality, or will it just create more bureaucratic inefficiencies? In recent decades, behavioral economics has emerged as a challenge to traditional economic thought. Instead of assuming that individuals always act rationally, behavioral economists like Daniel Kahneman and Richard Thaler argue that humans are prone to biases and irrational behavior. But in today's highly complex financial world, how can we apply behavioral economics to understand the decisions of millions of consumers and investors? Behavioral economics has revealed that people do not always make rational decisions. For example, people often prefer short-term rewards over long-term gains, a phenomenon known as hyperbolic discounting. Kahneman's work on prospect theory also shows how people overestimate the value of potential losses compared to equivalent gains, leading to irrational financial choices. As financial markets become more volatile and consumer choices more complex, understanding these psychological tendencies is crucial. How can behavioral economics help us make better financial decisions in a world of uncertainty? Central banks have become a powerful force in the global economy, controlling money supply, interest rates, and inflation. But are central banks the saviors of modern economies, or are they contributing to the creation of financial bubbles and inequality? How do central banks balance the demands of economic stability with the need for fairness? Central banks, like the Federal Reserve in the US or the European Central Bank, have taken on an expanded role in response to economic crises. Through tools like quantitative easing, central banks have injected money into the economy to stimulate growth. However, critics argue that these actions disproportionately benefit the wealthy, inflating asset prices and widening inequality. The challenge lies in striking a balance. How can central banks help maintain economic stability without exacerbating wealth disparities? Globalization has transformed economies, creating opportunities for trade, investment, and innovation. But it has also led to rising inequality and the erosion of local industries. What would the classical economists think about globalization? Is it the ultimate free market triumph, or a dangerous force that threatens social stability? Globalization has brought unprecedented growth to countries like China and India, lifting millions out of poverty. However, it has also caused significant disruptions in developed nations, where manufacturing jobs have been outsourced to cheaper labor markets. The economic theories of Smith and Marshall were based on the idea of national economies interacting in a relatively stable global system, but today's interconnected world complicates this picture. Is globalization a natural evolution of capitalism, or is it creating an unstable global system? With the rise of the internet, we are witnessing the birth of digital economies, cryptocurrency, blockchain, and digital platforms that challenge traditional economic models. How do the theories of classical economists apply in a world where digital assets and online platforms dominate? Digital economies are revolutionizing the way we think about money, trade, and value. Cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin promise a decentralized alternative to traditional banking systems, while blockchain technology offers secure, transparent transactions. Meanwhile, digital platforms like Amazon, Uber, and Airbnb are reshaping industries across the globe. The rise of digital currencies challenges traditional economic theories of money, which were based on centralized institutions. Is the digital revolution the next step in economic evolution, or are we witnessing the beginning of a new financial bubble? Today, many economists are turning their attention to climate change and sustainability, How do traditional economic theories, which prioritize growth and efficiency, reconcile with the need for environmental protection and sustainability? The growing threat of climate change presents a challenge to traditional economic models, which often prioritize short-term growth over long-term environmental sustainability. Economists like Nicholas Stern and others argue that addressing climate change requires a shift in how we think about value, investment, and economic growth. Can traditional models of cost-benefit analysis truly capture the long-term costs of environmental degradation? Do we need a new economic framework to deal with these challenges? Thank you for joining us in today's deep dive into the foundations of economic thought and how they shape our world. But this is just the beginning. In the next episode, we'll explore some of the most pressing challenges of our time, like the rise of the gig economy, the transformative power of AI and automation, and how cryptocurrencies are reshaping the future of money. We'll also examine the deepening issue of economic inequality, the impact of automation on jobs, and the policies governments must adopt post-COVID-19 to stabilize economies. Lastly, we'll discuss the growing role of data in economics and its potential to redefine how we measure success. These are questions that will define the future of our global economy. Don't miss out. Make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you stay up to date with our upcoming episodes. Together, let's continue exploring the changing landscape of economics and what lies ahead. See you next time.